It's October 23rd, 2016. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is set to conclude the chase for the Sprint Cup's round of 12 at Talladega Superspeedway in Alabama with the Hellman's 500. While the past year's running of this race lives on in infamy, perhaps this race should as well. Due to how this race played out and shaped the 2016 championship, can this one NASCAR race be blamed for the new playoff format that debuted in 2017 and lives onward today? This race is not remembered on its surface for very much. Joey Logano took his second straight fall Talladega win, securing the 22 spot in the 2016 round of 8. The past races in this round of 12 saw eventual champion Jimmy Johnson win at Charlotte in the 500-mile oval race, and Kevin Harvick's last win in a Chevrolet came at Kansas. Logano took this Talladega win after beating Brian Scott on an overtime restart, appearing to easily block the 44 on his way to win number 2 of the year. Behind Logano, though, this elimination race had major playoff implications for a few championship favorites. A very early engine failure ended the title hopes of Martin Truex Jr. in the Furniture Row Racing number 78 Toyota. Truex had 4 wins up to this point in 2016, trying to make the championship 4 for the second straight year. This marked the first multi-win season for MTJ, and his title hopes were dashed this October afternoon in Alabama as he finished last. Roughly 100 laps later, the same fate befell another championship hopeful, Brad Keselowski. After a 4-win season himself, the championship dreams of the Penske 2 crew also ended with engine failure at Talladega. Inside of 50 laps to go, half of the 4 drivers who would be eliminated from the playoffs were known, with 2 title juggernauts finishing outside of the top 35. These 2 untimely engine failures helped shape one new playoff rule that was instituted the next year in 2017. Both Truex and Keselowski lost a ton of points with their engine failures. Starting in 2017, any playoff bonus points a driver collects across the entirety of the regular season carries with them throughout the playoffs until the championship finale. In 2017 alone, bonus points from a 4-win regular season largely carried Truex stress-free throughout the first 9 weeks all the way to the title finale. We saw this again last year with Kyle Larson. 5 wins gave him plenty of cushion to reset as the points leader in each round by a wide margin. We're seeing this again in 2022 as well with Chase Elliott. Despite a lackluster playoff result so far, he reset as the points leader due to a wealth of bonus points. The reason behind this playoffs rule change can largely be pointed to one race ending the championships of 2 of the best teams from 2016. Another aspect of the 2016 Talladega Fall race helped birth one of the largest and most controversial rule changes in 2010's NASCAR, stage racing. Entering this elimination race with a large points buffer to the playoff cut line, Joe Gibbs Racing elected an interesting, foreign, and never-before-seen strategy for this race. Rather than being up front among the main pack competing for the win, 3 of their 4 cars sandbagged for much of the day. Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards, and Matt Kenseth opted to run a majority of the day in the 30s, minimizing their risk of being taken out in an accident by running in their own mini-pack far behind the main draft. Ultimately, this strategy did work out, as all 4 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas did transfer onward in the 2016 chase. This calculated decision by Joe Gibbs Racing may have single-handedly led to stage racing. The advent of stage racing was largely done to erase any advantage that Joe Gibbs Racing exposed in this Talladega race. By giving out points throughout a race, trying to game the system and maintain a status quo amount of points became a lot more difficult, if not impossible. Rather than trying to maximize points only at the checkered flag, now teams have to find out how to maximize points throughout a race by ideally being up front all race long and collecting points in all 3 stages. Since this day in 2016, we have not seen a single team's race strategy be as daring, outside the box, or radical as JGR's was at Talladega. Don't believe that this large change in the NASCAR playoffs was in response to Toyota's Talladega manipulation? In a recent press conference at Daytona, Toyota Racing Development President David Wilson said something intriguing. He said that Toyota as a manufacturer is to blame for the modern NASCAR playoff format.
So ever since this whole era of team partnership, arguably we're to blame for that. 2016, you can put it on the calendar, and we kind of changed how we went racing. What I'll say is from the very beginning, this was like, hey, why don't we work together? It seems to work.
In conclusion, a largely overlooked 2016 NASCAR chase race from Talladega helped mold wide-sweeping rule changes for 2017 that have greatly impacted how NASCAR races are ran and how championships are won today. Whether you're a fan of stage racing and playoff points carrying through the first 9 races or not, both major tweaks to the NASCAR playoff format have the same origin story, the 2016 Hellman's 500.